They hanged two Apache brides for being infertile, but a lonely cowboy gave them a home instead. The land stretched endlessly across the desert, bright under the morning sun and quiet except for the soft wind brushing against the dry plants. This place, between the Arizona Territory and New Mexico, was home to many different people, but none were more connected to the land than the Apache tribes who had lived there for generations. The desert was harsh, but the people were strong, guided by old traditions passed down from their elders. Everyone knew their place, and everyone had a role in keeping the tribe safe and balanced. Among these people lived two young brides, Tala and Nayeli. They came from different clans and different families, but their stories had somehow begun to move in the same direction without either of them knowing it. Tala was the quieter of the two, gentle in her movements and soft-spoken. Her long dark hair was always braided neatly, and she often helped the older women gather herbs or prepare meals. Nayeli, on the other hand, was lively, quick to laugh, and full of bright energy. She loved running, dancing, and being out in the open desert breeze. Even though their personalities were different, both women shared one dream, a peaceful home and a family of their own. Tala had been married for nearly a year and Nayeli for almost the same amount of time. Each of them had been chosen for arranged marriages, something that was common in their community. The marriages were meant to bring families together and strengthen ties within the tribe. Tala had hoped her gentle nature would help her build a loving relationship with her husband. Nayeli believed her cheerful heart would create warmth in her new household. But as the months passed, both brides began to feel unusual pressure around them. Their husbands grew distant, their mothers-in-law watched them closely, and whispers followed them like shadows. People would look at them and then quickly look away. Something in the air felt wrong, though neither Tala nor Nayeli understood what was happening at first. They tried their best, helping around the home, showing respect to their families, and praying quietly for peace, but the uneasy feeling only grew stronger. One evening, Tala overheard two elder women talking softly near the cooking fire. The older women did not realize Tala was close enough to hear, and their words made her hands tremble. They were saying that Tala must be out of balance, that something in her spirit was blocked, and that this unbalance might be the reason she had not become pregnant yet. Tala's heart sank. She felt heat rise to her face, not from anger but from deep hurt. She had never imagined that her worth in the tribe would be measured by something she had no power over. Nayeli was going through the same thing in her own home. Her husband's mother had stopped speaking to her except to give orders. When Nayeli tried to help with chores, her mother-in-law would take the work from her hands and redo it, as if Nayeli had done something wrong. One afternoon, as she returned from collecting firewood, she found her husband sitting outside with two elders. They lowered their voices when she approached. She smiled politely, but they did not greet her with the warmth they once had. Over the next few weeks, the tension grew heavier. Every time Tala or Nayeli walked through the village, they felt eyes on them. Some people looked at them with pity, others with suspicion. The tribe was going through a difficult period. There had been little rain, crops were drying, and several families were struggling. When a community is under stress, it sometimes looks for reasons or signs or explanations, even if those explanations are unfair or untrue. Old traditions mixed with misunderstandings, and soon people began to believe that the two brides were somehow connected to the tribe's difficulties. Neither woman wanted trouble. They loved their homes, their families, and their people. They tried to speak up gently, explaining that they were doing their best and that things like childbirth were mysteries even the wisest healers didn't fully understand. But the more they spoke, the more some members of the tribe insisted that something must be wrong with them spiritually. No one wished them harm, but old beliefs held great power, and sometimes fear makes people act unkindly without realizing the damage they cause. Finally, the tribal council made a decision, one rooted not in cruelty, but in fear and misunderstanding. To bring peace back to the tribe and restore balance, they said, the two brides would need to be removed from the village for some time. They were not to be punished physically or harmed in any way. Instead, they would be taken outside the settlement and left there with some food and blankets until the council believed the tribe's spiritual energy had improved. It was a form of exile, but the elders believed it was a peaceful and traditional way to protect the tribe. When Tala and Nayeli learned about the council's decision, they were heartbroken. They had never intended to cause trouble. They had never wished anything bad on anyone. They were simply young women trying to find their place in the world. But the community's fear outweighed their personal needs, and no one stood up to say the decision was wrong. Tala cried quietly when she returned to her home that night. Naeli tried to stay brave, but her tears came too. Neither woman slept much, knowing that at dawn they would be taken away from everything they had ever known. The next morning, the sky was pale blue, cool, and peaceful. It felt strange to the women that such a beautiful morning could follow such a painful night. Two elders came to escort them out of the village. Tala and Naeli were given blankets, water, and a small supply of food. A few people watched from afar, some curious, some sad, and some simply unsure of what to think. No one cheered or celebrated their leaving. It was not a moment of joy for anyone. Still, no one stepped forward to stop it. The two brides walked silently beside the elders. They felt every step like it was leading them deeper into a future they had never imagined. The desert stretched ahead, wide and open. When they reached a point just beyond the edge of the village, the elders stopped. They placed the supplies down and told the women that they must stay away until the council called them back. They wished them safety, but their voices were stiff, as if they were afraid that even kindness might be seen as weakness. The elders turned and walked back toward the village, leaving Tala and Naeli alone. The two women stood still for a long moment, watching the figures grow smaller in the distance. They did not blame the elders entirely. They knew fear can cloud judgment. But they could not stop the sadness filling their hearts. When the village was finally out of sight, they looked at each other. For the first time, they truly saw each other, not as strangers, not as fellow outcasts, but as two human beings caught in the same storm. They had been separated in their homes, their pain kept private, but now they were together. Tala wiped her tears with the back of her hand and gave Naeli a small, fragile smile. Naeli tried to smile back, though her chest felt heavy. "We should find shade," Tala said softly. "Yes," Naeli agreed. They walked slowly, carrying their blankets and food, searching for a safe place to rest. The desert was harsh, but it also held quiet beauty. The soft hum of wind, the warm colors of the sand, and the distant mountains made the world feel both empty and full at the same time. As they walked, they started to talk, at first about simple things, then about their sadness, their confusion, and their fear of what would come next. Tala shared how she had tried everything to be a good daughter-in-law. Naeli shared how she had believed she was building a happy home until people started looking at her differently. They realized that neither of them had done anything wrong, yet both had been blamed for something they could not control. For hours they talked, walked, and rested. They found comfort in knowing they were not alone. Even though the desert felt endless, something in their hearts softened. Exile was not what they wanted, but maybe they could face it together. As the sun began to lower and the sky turned orange, they set up a small resting place under a group of tall rocks that offered shade. They shared their food, drank from the same water bag, and wrapped themselves in their blankets as the temperature dropped. Both women stared at the darkening sky, wondering what tomorrow would bring. They didn't know that someone, far away on a lonely ranch, was living his own quiet struggle, unaware that their paths would soon cross in a way none of them could have predicted. But for now, Tala and Naeli rested side by side, two hearts beaten down by misunderstanding, yet still holding on to hope that the world was bigger than one tribe's fear. They did not know where their journey would lead, but they understood one thing clearly. They had been cast out, but they were not broken. And the desert night, open and endless, seemed to whisper back to them with gentle encouragement. The sun rose slowly over the desert like a warm lantern rising in the sky. Tala and Naeli had slept lightly through the night, their ears alert to every shift in the wind. When morning light fell softly on them, they woke up feeling tired but determined to continue walking. They had no plan yet, only the hope that somewhere out there the world might show them a kind face. They folded their blankets, shared a quiet breakfast of dried fruit and bread, and started walking again. Though they were unsure of where to go, the desert itself seemed to guide them. The distant shapes of mountains, the lines of old trails, and the sound of wind across the land felt like gentle instructions from nature. Even in their sadness, they found small comfort in the silent companionship of the earth beneath their feet. After walking for a while, they came across the faint track of wagon wheels, old but still visible. Trails like this often led to settlements or ranches. They hesitated, unsure if following it was wise. Settlers were sometimes suspicious of Apache people, but the women needed water, shade, and safety. They looked at each other, sharing the same thought without speaking it aloud. "We can follow it for a little while," Tala suggested softly. Naomi nodded. "Maybe it will lead us to a friendly place." They walked side by side, sometimes in silence, sometimes sharing stories from their childhood to distract themselves from worry. Naomi talked about how she used to race through the village with other children, her laughter echoing through the valley. Tala spoke of how she loved helping the tribe's healer gather herbs and plants, always curious to learn more about them. Their words helped lighten their hearts. The more they talked, the more they discovered how much they had in common. They began to feel less like strangers thrown into the same hardship and more like sisters on a shared journey. As they continued walking, the day grew warm. The desert shimmered with rising heat. In the distance, a small shape began moving along the trail. At first, it looked like a rolling shadow. As it came closer, they realized it was a man on horseback, riding slowly as if searching for something. The women froze. They did not know whether to hide or stand still. Encounters with strangers were unpredictable, and they had no idea what kind of person he might be. They stepped slightly to the side of the trail and waited quietly. The man rode closer, his posture relaxed, his hat shading his face from the sun. He was a cowboy named Elias Mercer. Elias had been traveling since early morning, checking on a missing calf from his ranch. He lived alone, and his days often passed with little more than the company of animals and the soft breeze across empty fields. He was in his late 30s, with kind but tired eyes, as if he had seen many seasons come and go without much change. His horse, Maple, walked steadily, ears flicking forward as she noticed the two women on the trail. Elias slowed his horse and came to a gentle stop. He studied Tala and Naomi from a respectful distance. They were clearly tired, carrying blankets and walking with the cautious steps of people unsure of their surroundings. "Morning," Elias said in a calm, friendly voice. "Are you two all right?" His tone was soft, free of fear, judgment, or suspicion. Tala and Naomi exchanged uncertain glances. They had not expected kindness, especially not from a stranger. For a moment, neither woman spoke. Then Tala gathered her courage. "We are traveling," she said quietly. "We needed to leave our home. We are looking for a safe place." Elias nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful but gentle. He did not ask questions that might make them uncomfortable. Instead, he dismounted from his horse, letting Maple rest. He kept a respectful distance as he spoke again. "It's a long walk through this part of the desert," he said, "and the sun gets strong around midday. I don't mean to trouble you, but if you need water, I have some to spare." He reached for his water canteen, uncapped it, and placed it on the ground between them so they could take it without feeling pressured. Tala and Naomi looked at each other once more, still cautious, but grateful. Naomi stepped forward slowly and picked up the canteen. She took a small sip and handed it to Tala, who did the same. When they returned it, Elias nodded appreciatively, happy they accepted the offer. "I have a ranch not far from here," he said calmly. "It's a simple place, but it has shade, water, and food. If you need to rest, you're welcome to come, only if you want to." The two women hesitated. Accepting help was risky, but the desert was harsh and they were exhausted. Elias' voice carried no pressure, only quiet sincerity. Tala spoke softly. "Why would you invite strangers to your home?" Elias gave a small, honest smile. "Because I know what loneliness feels like," he said, "and because no one should wander the desert with nowhere to rest." His answer touched something deep inside both women. They were accustomed to being judged, doubted, or blamed, even before their exile. To hear a stranger speak with simple kindness was unexpectedly comforting. Naomi whispered to Tala, "Maybe this is a good sign." Tala looked at Elias again, her eyes searching for any trace of unkindness. She found none. "We will come," she said softly, "if it is truly no trouble." "No trouble at all," Elias replied warmly. "Follow me, I'll go slow so you can walk comfortably." He mounted Maple once more and guided the horse at a gentle pace, letting the women walk beside him on the trail. The journey wasn't long, but Tala and Naomi were careful not to relax too quickly. They stayed alert, yet they began to feel a small flicker of hope. As they walked, Elias introduced himself in a friendly but simple manner. He told them he lived alone and worked his ranch himself. He mentioned that he once had a family, his wife, Clara, but she had passed away from illness several years earlier. Loneliness had settled over him since then, though he didn't say it in a sad way. He spoke of it as a simple truth, something he had learned to live with. Tala and Nayeli listened quietly. They did not know what to say, but they felt sympathy for him. Loss was something every human heart understood, no matter where they came from. Soon, the land opened up into a wide valley. At the center stood a modest ranch house made of wood, with a small barn and fenced area for animals. The home looked warm and welcoming, with smoke gently rising from the chimney. Elias stopped his horse near the porch and dismounted. "Please make yourselves at home," he said kindly. "You can rest inside or on the porch, wherever you feel comfortable." The women approached slowly. The ranch house smelled of cedar wood, warm bread, and the faint smoke of a morning fire. Elias held the door open but stepped aside so they could enter without feeling crowded. Inside, the home was simple but neat. A wooden table sat near the window, a small bookshelf held a few worn books, and a pot simmered on the stove. The atmosphere felt safe, as if the walls themselves held quiet memories of peaceful days. "You can sit," Elias said gently, gesturing to the table. "I'll bring you some water and something to eat." While he prepared food, the women whispered to each other. "He seems kind," Nayeli said softly. "Yes," Tala agreed, "but we should still be careful. We don't know him well." Nayeli nodded. "We can stay only for a little while, just until we regain strength." When Elias returned with fresh water and warm cornbread, they thanked him sincerely. He sat across from them, giving them space to eat. After a moment, he asked in a gentle tone, "If you're comfortable sharing, what brought you this far out?" The women exchanged a long, meaningful look. They did not want to speak poorly of their tribe, and they wanted to avoid recalling painful emotions. Elias noticed their hesitation immediately. "You don't have to explain," he said with a kind smile. "You're safe here. Rest as long as you need." Relief washed over Tala and Nayeli. They were grateful for his sensitivity. Over the next few hours, they rested in the shade of the porch, breathing in the calm air and listening to the soft sounds of ranch life. The gentle bray of a donkey, the flap of birds' wings, and the creak of wooden boards warming in the sun. Elias spent the afternoon repairing a fence nearby. He didn't hover or ask them questions. He simply worked quietly, showing them through his actions that he respected their space. His kindness was not loud or grand. It was quiet, steady, and genuine. Watching him work, Tala whispered, "He seems to have a good heart." Nayeli nodded. "Maybe this place can be a safe stop for us, even if only for a short time." As the sun began to lower behind the mountains, the ranch glowed with warm, golden light. Elias walked back to the porch, wiping his hands. "If you'd like to stay for the night, I can make beds for both of you," he offered softly. "There's plenty of room." Tala and Nayeli felt gratitude swell in their hearts. They looked at each other, silently agreeing. "We would be thankful," Tala said gently. Elias nodded with a warm, peaceful smile, as if welcoming them brought him a sense of quiet joy. That night, in a safe room with clean blankets and the soft glow of a lantern, the two women lay awake for a while, each thinking about how quickly their lives had changed. Exile had brought fear and uncertainty, but it had also led them to unexpected kindness. As they drifted toward sleep, Tala whispered, "Maybe the world is not as harsh as we feared." And Nayeli, already half asleep, murmured, "Maybe we were guided here for a reason." Little did they know, this ranch, the quiet home of a lonely cowboy, would soon become a turning point in all their lives, weaving their stories together in ways none of them could have imagined. The days that followed were calm and warm, like gentle breaths from the desert itself. Tala and Nayeli slowly grew more comfortable at Elias' ranch. They rose early each morning, helping him with simple tasks such as gathering eggs, carrying water, or sweeping the porch. Elias never asked them to work. They chose to help because they didn't want to feel like guests who gave nothing in return. They enjoyed the feeling of having a small purpose again, even if it was something as simple as brushing dust from the doorstep. Elias watched them with quiet appreciation. Their presence brought a new kind of life to the ranch. Soft voices drifting through the kitchen, light footsteps moving down the hallway, and gentle laughter when Nayeli told a funny story while Tala tried to hide her smile behind her hand. The ranch had been quiet for many years, and the small sounds they made were comforting to Elias, like warm sunlight after a long winter. One morning, Elias woke early and stepped outside to check the sky. It was a bright, clear blue that stretched far across the valley. He smelled the faint scent of fresh bread and followed it to the kitchen, where he found Tala carefully placing warm slices on a wooden plate. She looked up quickly, surprised to see him awake. "I wanted to thank you," she said in a gentle voice. "You have given us a safe place. I made breakfast so you would know we appreciate your kindness." Elias smiled softly. "Thank you, Tala. That means a lot. You didn't have to do that." Tala dipped her head shyly. Kindness still made her nervous, as if she didn't quite know what to do with it. But she was learning. Little by little, she was beginning to trust that this home was a peaceful place. Meanwhile, Naeli had gone outside to feed Maple, Elias' horse. She gently brushed the horse's mane and talked to her in a playful tone. "You must be the most patient horse in the world," she said. "You listened to us walk all the way here and you didn't complain at all." Maple flicked her ears, enjoying the sound of Naeli's voice. Elias joined them, leaning against the fence. "She likes you," he said. "Maple doesn't warm up to everyone," Naeli smiled brightly. "Maybe she knows we needed a friend." Life at the ranch settled into a peaceful rhythm, but it wasn't without quiet tension. Though the ranch was safe, Tala and Naeli still carried the weight of their past. They often wondered if members of their tribe might follow them. They wondered if people from nearby settlements might misunderstand their presence. They wondered what their future would look like. Elias sensed their worries even when they didn't say them aloud. One afternoon, as he fixed a loose board on the barn, he saw the two women sitting under a cottonwood tree, speaking in low tones. Their expressions were serious, and their shoulders were slightly hunched. When he finished his work, he approached slowly. "You both look deep in thought," he said gently. "Is everything all right?" The women exchanged a look. Tala answered first. "We are grateful for your home," she said. "But we also know the world around us is not always welcoming. We do not want to bring trouble to your doorstep." Elias shook his head with calm certainty. "You haven't brought any trouble, and you don't need to worry about being a burden. You're safe here." Naeli bit her lip, unsure. "People sometimes misunderstand us," she said softly. "They might think we should not be here." Elias sat down in the grass near them, the breeze lightly stirring his shirt. "People misunderstand many things," he replied. "But misunderstanding doesn't mean they are right. What matters is kindness, honesty, and respect, and you've shown all of that." His words eased their hearts like cool water on a warm day. Still, the women struggled with old habits. They had learned to hide their feelings, to remain quiet when others judged them, and to accept blame even when they had done nothing wrong. Now, in this peaceful place, they had to learn something much more difficult: how to let go of fear. The following week, Elias suggested they help him with a new task. "If you'd like," he said, "you can help me plant a small garden. I've been wanting one for years, but doing it alone always felt overwhelming." Tala's eyes brightened. "I know some plants that grow well in this soil," she said softly, "herbs that don't need much water. And I love growing flowers," Naeli added. "My mother used to keep golden daisies near our home." Elias smiled warmly. "Then we will make a garden together." They chose a sunny patch of earth near the porch. The ground was dry, but not too hard to work with. The three of them spent the morning removing stones, pulling old roots, and turning the soil until it became soft and dark. Tala knelt quietly, pressing her palms gently into the warm earth. She closed her eyes for a moment, as if offering a silent prayer for new beginnings. Naeli hummed a tune from her childhood, her voice cheerful and light, and Elias found himself smiling at the peaceful scene. For the first time in a long while, his ranch did not feel like a place of loneliness. It felt like a home with growing hope. As days passed, the garden slowly came to life. They planted herbs, small desert flowers, and even a few vegetables. Tala carefully watered each plant, whispering encouraging words as if they were small children needing comfort. Naeli arranged stones around the edges to keep the soil from drifting away. Elias built a small wooden fence around it to protect the plants from wandering animals. Every evening, after their work was done, they sat on the porch watching the sky turn soft shades of pink and orange. Sometimes they talked about small things, funny memories, favorite foods, or stories from childhood. Sometimes they sat in quiet companionship, simply enjoying the peace of the moment. But not every day was easy. One afternoon, as Tala was washing dishes and Naeli was sweeping the porch, a wagon passed by on the distant trail. The driver glanced toward the ranch, and for a moment Tala felt her heart tighten with old fear. Naeli paused, leaning on the broom, her eyes following the wagon until it disappeared over a hill. They looked at each other, sharing the same worry without speaking it. People traveling through the territory could easily misunderstand two Apache women living on a cowboy's ranch. But no one approached the house, and no one returned the following day. Still, the moment reminded them that their old fears were not entirely gone. Healing takes time, and both women were still learning to breathe freely in this new world. Elias noticed their uneasiness but did not push them to explain. Instead, he made simple efforts to reassure them. He kept the ranch peaceful, stayed close by when they looked uncertain, and always spoke with calm gentleness. One evening, he joined them on the porch where they sat quietly watching the early stars appear. "You two have been carrying a lot," he said softly. "I can see it in your eyes. I don't know your whole story, and I won't ask for details you don't want to share, but I want you to know something." Tala and Naeli turned toward him, waiting. "You deserve peace," Elias continued. "You deserve to feel safe, to rest, to laugh, to breathe without fear. Whatever happened before you came here, whatever people believed, it doesn't define you." A long silence followed, filled only by the soft chirping of crickets. Finally, Naeli spoke quietly. "Thank you," she said. "Those are words we needed to hear." Tala nodded gently. "We never meant to cause trouble," she whispered. "We only wanted a simple life." "You deserve that," Elias replied, "and you can have it here if you choose." In the following days, something began to change between the three of them. It wasn't sudden, and it wasn't dramatic. It felt natural, like the slow growth of a young plant reaching toward the sun. Tala and Naeli grew more relaxed, more open, and more willing to trust that they had found a safe place. And Elias noticed that his home felt warmer, his days brighter, and his evenings sweeter when the women were near. One morning, Naeli found Elias sitting on the porch steps, polishing the metal clasp of a saddle. "You seem thoughtful today," she said, sitting down beside him. He nodded slowly. "It's been a long time since I shared my home with anyone," he said. "I didn't realize how much I missed having company," Naeli smiled. "We didn't know we needed company either," she said softly. "The world feels lighter when people are kind." Tala joined them quietly, carrying a basket of herbs. She didn't speak right away, but sat near them, her presence calm and gentle. "You feel like family," Elias said quietly, surprising even himself with the honesty of the words. "If you ever want to stay here, not just for now but longer, you're welcome." Neither woman spoke at first. They had expected to stay only a short time, to regain their strength and then continue searching for a future. But slowly, as they looked around the ranch, the garden they had planted together, the quiet hills surrounding the valley, the warm home that had sheltered them, they began to realize that maybe their future had already found them. Later that night, as they lay in their beds, Tala whispered to Naeli, "Maybe this place is where we are meant to be." Naeli smiled in the dim light. "It feels like a new beginning," she replied. "Not something we planned, but something gentle and right." Little did they know that the bond forming between them and Elias would soon grow even stronger, guiding them toward a shared life built on respect, warmth, and unexpected belonging. The days grew longer and brighter as spring settled over the desert valley, bringing soft breezes and colorful wildflowers. Elias' ranch seemed to come alive with fresh energy. The garden that Tala, Naeli, and Elias planted together now showed tiny green sprouts pushing through the soil, promising new life. The warm sunlight made everything shimmer gently, and even the animals on the ranch seemed calmer. Tala and Naeli had begun to move through the ranch with more confidence. They no longer hesitated before opening doors or stepping onto the porch. They felt welcomed, respected, and safe. Elias saw this and felt a quiet joy that surprised him. He had not expected two strangers to change his life so deeply, yet now he felt as if their presence was something he had needed without ever realizing it. One soft morning, after a night filled with the sound of warm desert winds, Elias suggested a small outing. "There's a peaceful stream not too far from here," he said. "Clear water, cool shade, quiet place. I thought you both might enjoy seeing it." Tala looked at him with gentle eyes. "It sounds beautiful," she said softly. Naeli grinned. "I have not seen a stream in a long time. I would love to." Elias saddled Maple and packed a small basket of bread, fruit, and cool water. The three of them walked together, letting Maple carry the light supplies. The path to the stream was calm and open, lined with sagebrush and tall, swaying grass. As they walked, a sense of peace settled over them. The sun warmed their faces, and the breeze carried the soft scent of desert blossoms. When they reached the stream, Tala gasped slightly. The water was clear as glass, reflecting the bright sky like polished silver. Smooth stones lined the edges and tall cottonwood trees cast gentle shade across the ground. The sound of the flowing water was soft and steady, like a long, calming sigh from nature itself. "This place is lovely," Tala whispered. "I used to come here with Clara," Elias said quietly. "We would sit by the water and talk about the future. After she passed, I stopped coming for a while, but today it feels good to be here again." The women looked at him with warm understanding. They didn't speak, but their gentle expressions told him that they respected the memories he carried. They found a comfortable spot near the stream and sat on a blanket Elias had brought. Naeli reached out and touched the cool water with her fingertips, smiling at the refreshing feel. Tala closed her eyes and breathed in deeply, letting the peaceful sounds relax her. Elias opened the basket and shared the food. The three of them ate slowly, enjoying the quiet moment. Birds chirped from the trees above and sunlight danced on the surface of the water. "This place feels like a secret haven," Naeli said, stretching her legs. "Like the world cannot find us here." "It is a kind place," Tala added softly. "A place for healing." Elias listened to their words with a full heart. He could see how far they had come from the fearful, exhausted travelers he had met on the trail. Their eyes now held warmth, their steps were lighter, and their laughter came more easily. After their meal, Naeli wandered along the stream, collecting smooth stones of different shapes. Tala stayed close to Elias, watching the water ripple as small fish swam by. Elias noticed Tala's thoughtful expression. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. Tala hesitated, then answered honestly. "I am thinking about how life brings people together in unexpected ways," she said. "I never imagined leaving my village. I never imagined finding a place like your ranch, and I never imagined meeting someone who would show us kindness without question." Elias looked toward the water. "I feel the same," he admitted. "You both came at a time when I didn't know I needed change." The ranch was quiet, peaceful, but also lonely. You brought life back to it. Tala lowered her gaze shyly. "We only try to help." "But you gave more than help," Elias said softly. "You gave warmth." Tala felt her cheeks warm. She wasn't used to hearing such gentle praise. Before she could respond, Naeli returned with a handful of stones. "Look," she said excitedly. "These stones look like tiny moons." Her enthusiasm made Elias laugh. Naeli had a way of bringing brightness into any moment. Tala smiled at her friend, grateful for her light-hearted spirit. The rest of the afternoon passed peacefully. They talked about simple things, plants in the garden, funny stories about maple, memories from the women's childhoods, and the quiet beauty of the desert. By the time they returned to the ranch, the sky had begun to glow with soft evening light. That night after supper, Elias sat on the porch while the women cleaned up inside. He watched the golden horizon fade into a soft purple, thinking about how the ranch had changed. He no longer felt the heavy loneliness that had once filled his days. Now, he felt something like belonging. He felt connected to the two women who had unexpectedly become part of his life. When Tala and Naeli joined him on the porch, they sat close by, wrapped in light blankets as the cool evening air settled in. "Thank you for today," Naeli said warmly. "It was beautiful." "I'm glad you enjoyed it," Elias replied. Tala looked at the stars slowly appearing above them. "It felt like a moment of peace," she whispered. "A moment where the world felt gentle." Elias nodded. "We all could use more gentle moments." Days passed, and soon the garden began to flourish. Small green leaves appeared everywhere, and tiny buds of flowers promised future color. Tala cared for the plants with patience and tenderness, while Naeli sang softly as she watered them. Elias often found himself pausing from his chores just to listen to the peaceful sound of their laughter mixing with the rustling leaves. But even with all this beauty around them, there were moments of uncertainty. Sometimes Tala would stop in the middle of her work, her eyes clouded with old worries. Sometimes Naeli would grow quiet, staring into the distance as if remembering something painful. They still carried pieces of their past that needed healing. Elias never pushed them to speak, but he was always there with quiet support. One late afternoon, he found Tala sitting alone near the fence, looking troubled. "Is something bothering you?" he asked gently. She waited a long moment before answering. "Sometimes I wonder if we truly belong here," she whispered. "I worry the world outside will come looking for us and misunderstand your kindness." Elias sat beside her. "You belong here if you choose to," he said softly. "This home is a place of care, not fear." Whatever the world thinks is not as important as what we choose to build together. Tala looked at him with grateful eyes. His words felt like warm sunlight filling spaces inside her heart that had long been cold. Not long after, Naeli shared her own worries one evening while helping Elias clean the barn. "I don't want to be a burden," she said suddenly. "You've done so much for us." Elias stopped sweeping and looked at her kindly. "You are not a burden," he said. "You bring joy and life to this place, and the truth is I like having both of you here, more than I can easily say." Naeli blinked, touched by the sincerity in his voice. She could see he meant every word. A quiet understanding grew between them, an understanding that this was no longer simply a ranch where two travelers were resting. It was becoming a place where all three of them felt connected, supported, and uplifted. One evening, as the sky glowed pink and gold, the three of them stood in the garden admiring the fresh sprouting plants. The air was warm and sweet, carrying the scent of new growth. Tala placed her hand lightly on one of the small green shoots. "Look how strong they are," she said. "They survived the rough soil and the dry days. Now they are growing together." Naeli smiled. "Just like us." Elias looked at the two women standing beside him, the sunlight touching their faces, their expressions peaceful. He realized that their presence had healed something inside him that he thought would remain empty forever. "You both have brought new life to this home," he said softly. "I can't imagine it without you now." Tala felt her heart flutter with warm emotion. Naeli's smile brightened even more. A gentle silence followed, a silence filled with unspoken feelings, quiet hope, and a deep sense of belonging. In that moment, the ranch no longer felt like a lonely place lost in the vast desert. It felt like a home shared by three souls who had found each other by chance, but who had stayed by choice. As the stars appeared one by one, the three of them remained there in the soft evening light, quietly acknowledging the new bonds forming between them. Bonds built not from fear or duty, but from trust, kindness, and the slow blooming of a new kind of family. Little did they know, the choices they made in those quiet moments would shape the rest of their lives, weaving their future together in ways they had never imagined. Time passed gently on Elias Ranch, like soft waves rolling across the desert. Each new day brought small moments of calm, bright mornings, warm afternoons, and quiet evenings filled with the peaceful sounds of crickets and rustling leaves. Tala, Naeli, and Elias had unknowingly built a life together, one piece at a time, until it felt natural, almost like it had always been that way. The garden was now blooming beautifully. Green herbs spread across the soil, colorful flowers swayed lightly in the breeze, and small vegetables peeked out from under broad leaves. Every time they looked at the garden, the three of them felt a quiet pride. It was more than plants growing, it was a symbol of their healing. One peaceful morning, while Tala watered the herbs and Naeli picked fresh flowers, Elias stepped outside and watched them. There was something radiant about the women now. Their shoulders were no longer heavy with fear. Their eyes no longer looked far away as if expecting trouble. They walked with confidence, spoke with warmth, and laughed with ease. Elias breathed in the fresh morning air and felt something he had not felt in years, a deep sense of belonging. The ranch no longer felt like a place waiting for life. It was full of it. "Good morning," Elias called with a gentle smile. The women turned toward him. "Good morning," they both said, smiling back warmly. Tala held a small bunch of herbs in her hand. "The mint has grown well," she said softly. "Would you like some for your tea?" Elias nodded. "Thank you, Tala, that would be wonderful." Naeli walked up to him holding a handful of bright yellow flowers. "These look like tiny suns," she said with delight. "I'll put them in the kitchen to brighten the table." Elias chuckled lightly. "Your flowers make the whole house feel brighter." Naeli beamed with pride, and Tala smiled shyly. After finishing their chores, the three of them gathered on the porch with warm cups of tea. A comfortable silence settled over them, the kind of silence that only exists between people who feel safe with one another. The warm steam rose gently from their cups, blending into the cool morning air. Tala looked at the horizon and spoke softly. "It is strange how life changes. A few months ago, we did not know where we would go or what would happen to us. Now I feel like we have found something special here." Naeli nodded. "Yes, this ranch, it feels like home, a home built slowly with kindness." Elias set down his cup. "I'm glad you feel that way," he said quietly. "I didn't expect my life to change so much. But I wouldn't trade this for anything." There was a gentle warmth in his voice, the warmth of someone who had learned to hope again. The days continued to move forward peacefully. Tala practiced gathering herbs from the valley and drying them in the sun. Naeli helped care for the animals, talking to them as if they understood every word. Elias repaired fences, oiled saddles, and took care of the ranch work while the women supported him in their own ways. One afternoon, Elias invited the women to walk with him up the hill behind the ranch. The hill wasn't steep, but climbing it took them above the valley, where they could see the ranch house, the blooming garden, and the winding river in the distance. When they reached the top, a soft breeze brushed against them, carrying the scent of wild sage. The sky stretched endlessly above, blue and open. "It's beautiful," Naeli whispered. Tala nodded. "It feels peaceful up here." Elias looked at them both. "I brought you here because I wanted you to see something," he said gently. "From here you can see the whole valley and maybe think about the future." The women waited quietly, sensing his words carried deeper meaning. Elias took a slow breath. "I know your journey began with fear," he said. "I know you were treated unfairly and pushed away from your home, but you don't have to keep walking without a place of your own." Tala's heart began to beat faster. Naeli's eyes softened with emotion. "You don't have to leave," Elias said simply. "This can be your home too, for as long as you want, not as guests, but as part of this family." Tala felt tears gather in her eyes, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming relief of being offered a life she never expected. Naeli placed her hand over her heart, deeply moved. "You mean stay here forever?" Naeli asked softly. Elias nodded. "If you choose to, the ranch is big and my heart has room for both of you. We can build a life together, a peaceful one." Tala looked at the valley below, feeling the warm breeze lift her hair. She felt memories of fear tug at her, but they were small now, tiny shadows compared to the bright light of this new life. "We want that," Tala said quietly, her voice trembling with emotion. "I don't want to run anymore. I don't want to fear the world. I want to stay where kindness lives," Naeli added, "and where we are accepted, truly accepted." Elias' eyes softened. "Then this is your home." They didn't embrace. They simply stood together in the warm sunlight, sharing a moment of deep understanding. The bond between them wasn't loud or dramatic. It was gentle, steady, and real. It was the kind of bond that grows slowly, like roots quietly strengthening beneath the soil. From that day on, their lives blossomed even further. The ranch transformed into a place of joy and purpose. Tala began drying herbs and making soothing teas that she sold to travelers passing through the valley. People who stopped at the ranch always spoke of how calming her presence was and how carefully she prepared her remedies. Naeli became known for her cheerful spirit. She greeted travelers with a warm smile, helped Elias tend the animals, and decorated the house with flowers she gathered from the hills. The ranch looked brighter, felt warmer, and welcomed everyone with open doors. Elias took pride in their accomplishments, supporting them in every way he could. He often found himself smiling for no reason, simply because the ranch was filled with gentle laughter, soft footsteps, and the sound of two women who had become the heart of his home. There were still quiet moments, of course, moments when Tala remembered the hurtful whispers from her past, or when Naeli's heart trembled at the memory of being cast out. But both women learned to heal through love, kindness, and the steady peace of their new life. Elias respected their feelings and gave them space whenever they needed it. Sometimes Tala would sit in the garden during sunset, letting the first stars guide her thoughts. Sometimes Naeli would lie in the grass, looking at the clouds and dreaming of the life she was creating. Together, the three formed a family built not on old traditions, but on trust, understanding, and chosen connection. Their link to one another grew as strong as the roots of the cottonwood trees near the stream. As the months passed, travelers began to share quiet stories about the ranch. They spoke of a place where tired souls could rest, where kindness lived openly, and where three gentle hearts welcomed anyone who came seeking peace. Some called it the Valley of Second Chances. Others called it the home where the lonely became whole. But Tala, Naeli, and Elias knew it simply as their home. One cool evening, as the sun dipped below the mountains and painted the sky with orange and gold, the three sat on the porch in comfortable silence. The air was calm, the world was quiet, and the lights inside the house glowed softly. Tala looked at the garden, now full and thriving. "Everything grows when it is cared for gently," she said. Naeli leaned her head against the wooden railing. "Even hearts," she added with a warm smile. Elias nodded. especially hearts. The first stars sparkled overhead and a deep sense of peace surrounded them. They had come from different paths, paths marked by loneliness, misunderstanding, and struggle. But those paths had led them to one another. And now, together, they looked toward a future filled with hope, harmony, and the beauty of a chosen family. In the quiet glow of evening, they understood one simple truth. They had been cast out by fear.